Last year, I made a little over 100 grand in 8 months using this wholesale business structure. I have since refined, improved, and mastered the process, found the best databases and software, and put together this killer blueprint for a 20+ K a month wholesaling business. From leads to marketing to bank accounts, we will dive into every aspect and break down the numbers in detail. But before we get started, all I ask in return for blessing you with my entire wholesale business blueprint for free is for you to take 2 seconds and like this video so I can continue to help as many people as possible for free. Now let's get into it. So the first thing you need to do is do your research. Make sure you understand the whole process of wholesaling, every aspect of it, and all of the basics and fundamentals. Now, if you need help with any of that, I got a ton of videos on my channel. I got playlists for beginners, all the way up to my whole process for intermediates to people that have been doing this a while. So make sure you check it out and get a good base of knowledge so you know what you're doing. First thing you need to do to set up this business model is to open a bank account and start an LLC. Now, an LLC is a business entity for you to do your wholesaling in, and it keeps you safe from being sued, as well as keeps your money and finances separate, keeps things organized, and it is the best way to do business. Now, in my state, in Illinois, you can open an LLC for like $250, $300 right on the Secretary of State website. I know it's a little more expensive in other states. Me personally, I had my attorney do it for me and he didn't charge me a dime, but it is an overall pretty simple process. Now, as for opening a bank account, you can go a couple of ways about this. Now, my old wholesale business, I had a bank account with Chase, but for this one, I decided to use US Bank. Now, US Bank has the benefit of not charging a monthly service fee, as well as I found they have a little bit better customer service than Chase. So if I had to recommend anybody starting out wholesaling, go to US Bank, open a silver account. You can do like 125 transactions a month, which is way more than you'll need to do for wholesaling. And you don't have to pay a monthly fee. There's no minimum balance. So it's definitely a really good option for a starting entrepreneur, especially with real estate. Now, this is a step where having connections can help because I had my operating agreement drafted by my attorney for free as well. And as for my partner, Aiden, he had to pay an attorney to review the operating agreement before he signed it, and he was charged about $400 an hour for that. I was able to have my operating agreement drafted, reviewed, and my LLC set up for no money. Shout out to my attorney, John. So a good lawyer is definitely somebody I would try to get on your team. So once you have that done, you're ready to actually start wholesaling. Now, the first step is to generate leads. Now, generally, this is going to consist of pulling a list. Now, there's a few places to pull a list: batch leads, PropStream, PropWire, Flipster, and you guys all know that I use PropStream. It's $100 a month, which is chump change. And you get to pull and export 10,000 leads a month, which falls right in line for the numbers that we're trying to do with this wholesale business starting out. Now, PropWire is Jerry Norton's free software, and if I wasn't going to use PropStream or I didn't have enough money to use PropStream, PropWire is the way to go. You get unlimited free downloads and exports. It's 100% free. I just find that the data on PropStream when it comes to pre-foreclosures and in a few other areas was a little bit better, so I decided to stick with PropStream. But you really can't go wrong either way. So that's step number one. Step number two is after you pull your list, whether that's pre-foreclosure, absentee owners. In our business, we're gonna be primarily pulling two things: pre-foreclosures, people that are facing a foreclosure and are gonna lose their house soon, and we're focusing on absentee owners, which are people that don't live in the property that they own. Now, we focus on those primarily because when someone doesn't live in their house, they don't have an emotional connection to it. They don't need to move to sell it to you. So it's an overall smoother transaction to get them to want to sell their house and ready to sell their house, and they're generally going to be ready to sell their house faster since they're not going to need to move. So once you have that list, you're going to need to skip trace it to get the phone numbers so you can market to them. Now, as my subscribers know, I used to always skip trace with PropStream just for convenience. The list was already in there, so why export it and put it into another thing? But PropStream charges like 12 to 14 cents per lead, which when you skip trace 10,000 people, that's going to be a little over $1,000 just to skip trace your list. So this go around, we decided to switch gears and use kind skip tracing. Now, kind skip tracing is ran by a really cool dude named Josh Chan. I had a great conversation with him on Instagram. He's one of the coolest CEOs of a company I've ever spoken to. He broke down how they do everything, spent a lot of time on the phone with me, making me feel comfortable, and he's who I would highly recommend. Now, they only charge 3 cents a lead, which means you're gonna be saving about $1,000 a month skip tracing 10,000 leads, which is $12,000 a year. And I don't know about you, but that adds a fat amount of change to your end of the year profit margin. Kind skip tracing, 3 cents a record, about $300 to skip trace your list to 10,000 leads. Seems like a no-brainer to me, and it usually has between a 75 and 90% accuracy rate, so you really can't go wrong. So once you have your list pulled and the data skip traced, so you have everybody's phone numbers, the next step, and probably the most important, is marketing. So there's a few different marketing channels that you can go after that I'm sure you've heard me talk about, but for this business structure, we're going with 2 primary channels, and then there's a third one that we're gonna add on later. So the first is to SMS text blast. Now you guys know I've been a huge proponent of this since I started wholesaling. It's the most time efficient, energy efficient, and to me, just makes the most sense. But like I used to use dial pad and REI reply. After they cracked down on the texting laws, I got my accounts deleted and flagged. My deliverability rate was shit. It's really been an unpleasant experience for the past several months, and I haven't been getting a lot of traction. So that's when we decided to switch to launch control. Now, launch control doesn't use a Twilio integration, which is what's getting people banned and red flagged. It actually is a direct-to-carrier platform, so your text deliverability rate is 90% plus, and you don't have that opt-out language in there where it says text stop to not receive any more messages, because then people just immediately look at you as spam. They don't want to talk to you. You're not even going to get a chance. So launch control is a no-brainer. Your texts are going to get delivered, and then it's only $500 a month for the smallest package, which lets you text 10,000 leads. Now those 10,000 leads, that only counts your initial text to them, not once they text back and you start a conversation. So you can reach out to 10,000 leads a month for only $500. Now I didn't use this when I first started because I was using REI reply, which was like 50 bucks. But then they charge you a cost per text, and then most of them don't get delivered, and then you got to pay for multiple phone numbers. With launch control, all that shit on the back end is taken care of by them. They automatically switch out your phone numbers, make sure that your messages are being delivered. So for $500, you can text market to 10,000 people a month without having to worry about any deliverability or the stress of changing phone numbers or anything like that. So that equates to texting about 500 people a day. Now out of that, using my company from last year's KPIs, which are key performance indicators, I was getting about 2 to 3 leads per day if I was going to text 500 people per day. That's a pretty good amount of leads and should definitely lead to a deal or 2 a month just from that. Now, in addition to text blasting with launch control, we're going to be doing cold calling. Now, if you're just starting out and you're on a budget, you can always cold call yourself. I've got videos of me talking to sellers on my channel, so it's definitely something that I did in the beginning constantly. And if you're just starting out, it's really not a bad thing to cold call yourself, at least for the first, couple weeks, maybe even a month, because being on the phone with the sellers and trying to close deals on your own is really beneficial to learning the business. You need to learn what sellers are like, what they want, how you should speak to them. Because if you're going to have cold callers, you're going to need to do quality control, make sure they're doing things right, and you can't really do that if you've never been in their shoes and you've never done it yourself. Now for cold calling, we're using a company called CRI, which I believe stands for Callers for Real Estate Investors. They specialize in cold calling for wholesalers. We had a conversation with the owner of the company when we were checking around and seeing who we were going to use, and he just really impressed us with what he said. They switch out their cold callers every few hours so people stay fresh on the phones. They're from Egypt and the Philippines, I believe, but they said that they deny 9 out of 10 applicants because of how well they speak English. You can rest assured that whoever they put on the phones for your cold calling is going to be able to speak fluently, sound American, and be able to build that rapport with your sellers and get you some deals. Now the cost for them between paying the cold caller and a little bit of a service fee comes out to about $1,200 a month. Now that may seem like a shitload of money, but they're cold calling 9 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to do that all month for $1,200. So it's not really worth your time. If you do have the money, spring for a cold caller. Now there's other companies like Call Geeks is a major one, and while they may be okay, I've never tried them. I was most impressed with my conversation with CRI Group, so they're going to be the first people that we go with, but I will keep you posted on how well they do. Now I have a few fellow wholesalers that are doing 6-figure a month type businesses that do use CRI Group, and they say that they get about 2 to 3 leads per day, which is also what the owner assured us was kind of their benchmark. So you can expect 2 to 3 leads a day from this channel of marketing, just like texting. So those are the main 2 we're starting off with right now when we launched our business, but later down the road, we're also going to incorporate PPC, or pay-per-click marketing. So PPC is the process of running ads on Google or Facebook. Now, I did some PPC last year with my old company, and I was doing just Facebook ads. And while it was actually pretty decent, the marketing agency that I had running my ads fucking sucked, and I was paying them $1,000 a month. They weren't really updating the ads or keeping things current. And I was paying like $2,500 a month in advertising, plus paying their asses $1,000 a month. And over the course of 3 to 4 months, I only got one deal. I got a bunch of leads, but the leads weren't properly qualified, so I kind of had a bad taste in my mouth about PPC. But that is something that I'm trying to teach myself how to do, so I don't have to pay an agency to do it. And once we start generating some more income in our business, we are going to spring for some PPC and incorporate that as well, probably down the road in a month or two. Now, those leads are great because they're inbound leads, people that 100% should want to sell, and they should close at a lot higher conversion rate. They're known to produce a lot bigger assignment fees, so it's definitely something we're gonna dive into later. But to start, cold calling and texting is the way to go. So we're pulling our leads with PropStream, we are skip tracing with kind skip tracing, we're text blasting with launch control, and we're cold calling using CRI. Now we need a place to store all these leads and keep things organized. That's where your CRM or customer relationship management comes into place. Now, a CRM is just a database to store your leads, keep them organized. You can set notes, have follow-up times, set reminders, and it's necessary to any successful wholesale operation. I suppose you could use a spreadsheet and do it yourself, but that's not going to work in the long run, and I don't recommend it. So for the CRM that we use is called Podio. Now, Podio is great because one, it's free, and free is always good. And two, you can customize it to fit your business's exact needs. You can literally go into the CRM, pick what fields are there, pick how they're labeled, pick what they say. You can download different apps from the Podio database, so you can have one for cash buyers, one for sellers, one to track your marketing budgets. It's pretty in-depth and it's super cool, so I would definitely recommend Podio first. Then I also have a second CRM that I use just kind of personally, and that's called Follow Up Boss. Some of you may have heard me talk about it before. It's $70 a month, so it's not free, but it's relatively cheap. And I just really love the user interface of it. Plus, it gives you a phone number. So when I'm running ads on Facebook, or if I'm pitching deals to cash buyers on Facebook, the number I put on there is usually my Follow Up Boss number. So when they reach out to me, they go directly into that CRM. So I'm not sure how I'm gonna really juggle having both of those for this business, but we'll see, and I'll keep you guys updated. So that pretty much covers your marketing channels, and at this point, you're gonna be having leads come in, you're gonna be closing them up. Next thing you're gonna need to do is worry about attorneys and title companies. Now, if you're confused about attorneys and title companies, I have a whole video about it on my channel that you can check out after this. I'll link it down below in the description. But you're gonna want a title company or an attorney that you're comfortable with, that knows how to handle wholesale deals, and can handle complicated deals, because things are almost never going to go perfectly smooth. So me personally, in my market, when I'm wholesaling in Illinois, I use my attorney that I mentioned earlier that helped me set up my business, because he is an ace. He can handle the toughest wholesale deals. He can hop on the phone with the seller's attorneys and get people to do what needs to be done to get the deal closed. So I recommend finding somebody like that. Now, if you're confused on how to do that, the best way is to just call around and talk to people. When I started virtually wholesaling in Ohio and Detroit, I was just on the phone. I think I talked to like 8 or 9 title companies. Do you guys do wholesale deals? No? Okay, bye. Hey, do you guys handle assignments? Okay, do you guys do creative finance? Can you write up a seller finance note? Can you do a subject to where you take over somebody's mortgage? Now, these are more complex things that some people frankly won't do. So if you want to use the same title company or the same attorney for every transaction, bombard them with these questions. Make sure there's somebody that you can work with. And if you work with them consistently, that might even give you a break on closing costs, which will save you money too. Now, if you guys want to know exactly the questions that you should be asking these attorneys and title companies, feel free to leave it below in the comments. If enough people ask me, I'll put together a little attorney title company cheat sheet for you to download. That'll tell you all the questions that I personally would ask them to make sure I want them on my team. Now, along with having a title company and closing attorney, you're going to need to finalize all your contracts. You're going to have these leads coming in. You're going to need a purchase and sale agreement. You're going to need an assignment contract. You might need a JV agreement if you want to work with somebody like myself to help you close a deal. You're going to need addendums if you need to make changes to contracts once they're already signed. Now, if you guys don't already have contracts and you want the same ones that I've been using to wholesale for the past year, I will have a link to those contracts down below in the description. They're free. Now, if you guys need scripts to use for your text blasting, or you want to give your cold callers some custom scripts, I have the exact scripts that I used for texting and calling all last year. They made me a good chunk of change. I've refined them, and I'll have those for you linked below down in the description as well. Absolutely free, so check them out. So that's it for the marketing. Now you've got leads coming in, you've got the scripts and the contracts you need to lock them up, you've got the title company and closing attorney to handle the transaction. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of the numbers. Now, like I said, if you're doing it just like me, the cold caller should bring in 2 to 3 leads a day. The text blasting campaign should also bring in about 2 to 3 leads a day. So that means out of your 10,000 lead list, you're going to be generating 5 to 8 leads a day, which amounts to 50 leads a week or 200 leads a month. Now that means that you converted 2% of your list of 10,000 people into leads, which are people that said that they were open to selling their house or they were somewhat interested in selling their house. You know, somebody turns from a prospect to a lead and you identify, yes, they do have some sort of motivation to sell their house, whether that be now, in 3 months, in 6 months, or early next year. They are open to selling their house and they will hear you out. So now we're going to consider them leads and they'll be moved into our CRM. So of those 200 leads that we're generating a month, my KPIs from last year, as well as some other people that I know, confirm that it's about a 1 to 2% close rate on average. Obviously, if you're a crack shot on the phone or you're really good at pulling lists, you could be a little bit higher than this. And inversely, if you suck ass on the phone and you don't know how to talk to people or you're pulling really crappy lists, it's probably going to be lower than 1 to 2%. So skill and diligence definitely comes into play. All these numbers are not going to be the same for everybody, but for me, I usually can account for about a 1 to 2% conversion rate of all my leads, which will break down to about 2 to 5 deals per month. Now, I don't know about you, but 2 to 5 deals per month is awesome. Last year, my average wholesale fee was about $11,000. So if you make 2 to 5 deals a month, you're looking at $20,000 to $55,000 a month in assignment fees. And that's based on my KPIs from last year. Now I know a lot more. I know how to structure deals creatively and do seller finance and do subject to where you take over their mortgage. Now I know how to talk to people on the phone a lot better. Now I have updated my contracts and I've refined my scripts. So I expect to have my numbers be even higher than that, increase my average assignment amount, hopefully up to around 15,000 is what I'm looking to do, and increase my lead conversion from 2% to 3 or 4%. That could double the amount of money that I make a month, and it's something that we're definitely excited about. Now, to put that amount of income into perspective, this blueprint's going to be about $2,500 a month in operating expenses for the cold caller, the databases like PropStream and Launch Control for texting, as well as possibly paying for a CRM. You're going to have to pay for DocuSign as well, so you can send contracts back and forth. That's about $40 a month. So altogether, operating expenses are about $2,500 a month. Now, since the cold callers are $1,200 of that, if you wanted to, you could cut out the cold calling, just do the texting, lower your operating expenses by half, still be generating 2 to 3 leads per day, 1 to 2 deals a month, and still be making 10 to 20K a month just from texting. So you got to do what fits best for your budget and your lifestyle and get it done. After you start having deals coming in and you're making some money, we got to figure out, what exactly do you do with your money? Do you go buy a bunch of Gucci belts and Louis Vuitton shoes? Do you go buy yourself that new car, get your girlfriend a purse, start eating lobster every night of the week? What do you do with your money? So me personally, this is why earlier I said we open 3 bank accounts. Now we have a bank account where our money comes into, and that's also where we pay our operating expenses out of. And then we have a bank account strictly for taxes to hold our money till the end of the year. And then we have a bank account strictly for profit. So every time a wholesale deal comes in, this is what it looks like. If we take in $20,000 in 1 month in wholesale fees into our primary account, we take 30% or $6,000, put it into our tax account. Then we take 20% for myself and 20% for Aiden as our owner's pay, which is $4,000 each. Then we take 20% and put it into a profit account, which would be another $4,000. Then we're gonna leave the rest in the main account for all the operating expenses that we talked about earlier. Now the tax account, by the end of the year, if you put too much in there and you have extra money, you can give yourselves a bonus at the end of the year, which is fucking great. And in the operating expense account, if you have extra money left in the end of there at the end of the year, that's also a bonus. And then the profit account is to make sure that if we're running everything else right to a T, we'll still have an extra 20% of what we made that year in a profit account that, you know, me and my business partner, we could use it to go buy a rental or a multifamily building. We could use it to expand our business and throw it into PPC marketing, or we can just write ourselves a big fat check for $30,000 each at the end of the year to use for whatever we want in our personal lives. So staying organized like this and ahead of the curve means you're gonna have more money than you thought rather than less, and that's exactly where you want to be. When I first started wholesaling, I was always reinvesting almost all of the money that I was making. I was paying my bills, obviously, but I was putting everything else back into the company. Because ideally, I don't want to be just running this 10,000 lead a month flow for the whole year. I want to do this for the first month and then upgrade to 20,000 leads a month after that, and then 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, until I'm running through about 100,000 leads a month, and that's when you're making, you know, $250,000 a month in wholesale fees, which I don't know about you, but that's my plan. So that's it, guys. That is the entire blueprint from start to finish, everything that I use in my business that I had last year, as well as what I'm going to be doing in the business that I just started, and I should be easily doing 20K a month, if not more. Now, if you guys have any comments or questions, just leave it down below in the comment section or slide into my DMs on Instagram. I'd love to talk to you guys, help you out, answer some quick questions. Now, if you don't want to go on this journey alone, and if you want hands-on help starting and setting everything up, and you want a coach and a mentor that you can lean on and is going to be there to answer questions for you 24/7 every step of the way, then check out the Jamestown mentorship. There's going to be a link down below with the scripts and the contracts. There's going to be a link down below in the description. Now, there's only 5 spots left now because I do all of the mentoring myself. You're never going to talk to another coach or meet another person. So obviously I have a limited amount of time and therefore a limited amount of people that I can accept into the mentorship. But if you found this video helpful, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know anything else that you guys might need to know to get started. But that's it. You're in Jamestown now, so relax, take some notes, and let's make some fucking money.